Hi everyone, so in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to crochet this really cute children's sweater. So it has this textured stitch which goes all the way around the bottom and then this cute collar with the shell detailing. So this sweater can be made in 6 different sizes, so from size 1 to 2 years all the way up to size 6 to 7 years. And in this tutorial I'm going to go over one of those sizes, so I'm going to go over size 3 to 4 years, but all of the different sizes are included on the written pattern, and I will leave a link to where you can find the written pattern in the description box below this video. So this tutorial goes over size 3 to 4 years, but all of the sizes are included on the written pattern, and there is a link to that in the description box below. So for this sweater you will need a 5mm crochet hook and worsted weight yarn. So thank you very much for watching, and please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos. So we are going to start off by making a slip knot, and to do a slip knot you want to take your yarn and take your finger and wrap the yarn around your finger once and then twice, then take the first loop and pull it over the second loop, and then take the second loop and pull it all the way over your finger. You then want to take your crochet hook, go in through this space and pull tight. And there we have a slip knot. So like that, and we can now move on and make our foundation chain. And for this size, we are going to chain 79. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 79. So there I have finished making my foundation chain, and like I said, for this size you should have chained 79. And now we can move on to round 1. So to begin round 1 we are going to work 12 double crochets, and we're going to work our first double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So here is the first chain from the hook, and here is the second chain, and you want to yarn over and go down into this chain. Yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the final 2 loops on your hook. So there we have 1 double crochet into that chain, and we're going to keep working 1 double crochet into each chain until we have 12. So yarn over and go down into the next chain here and do 1 double crochet, and now do the same thing into the next chain and keep going until you have 12. So like that, so there we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12 double crochets to start. And now into the next chain we are going to work our first corner. And throughout our sweater we are going to work lots of corners, and whenever we work a corner we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all into the same chain. So you want to yarn over and go down into this next chain here and do 1 double crochet, and then you want to chain 1 and then work a second double crochet back down into that same chain like that. So there we have double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all into that chain, and we have worked our first corner. And now we are going to do 13 more double crochets, or 1 double crochet into each of the next 13 chains. So yarn over and go into this first chain here right after that corner and do 1 double crochet, and then do 1 into the next, and keep going until you have 13. So I have worked 13 double crochets, and now into the next chain we are going to do another corner, and just as in the same way as before, whenever we do a corner we are going to work 1 double crochet, chain 1 and then a second double crochet down into that same chain. So yarn over, go into the next chain and do a corner, so double crochet, chain 1, double crochet like that. And now you want to do 24 more double crochets, or 1 double crochet into each of the next 24 stitches. So do 1 into the next chain here and keep going until you have 24. So there we have finished working those 24 double crochets, and this long section will eventually become the back of our sweater. And now into the next chain we're going to do another corner. So you want to do double crochet, chain 1 double crochet for a corner into the next chain. Like that. And now we are going to work 13 more double crochets, or 1 double crochet into each of the next 13 chains. So there we have 13 more double crochets, and now into this next chain we're going to work our final corner for this round. So you want to work double crochet, chain 1 double crochet into this next chain for our last corner for this round. And you should find that you have 12 chains left here, and we're going to finish off by doing 1 double crochet into each of those last 12 chains. So finish off with 12 double crochets. So there we have finished round 1. So we finished off with those 12 double crochets, and this is what you should have at the end of that round. So that round does seem a little bit complicated, but we have actually started to add in the shape of our sweater. So this first little section of 12 double crochets that we did will become the first half of the front. Then this first section of 13 will become the first sleeve. Then the long section of 24 will become the back. Then the next section of 13 will become the other sleeve, and then the other last little section of 12 will become the other half of the front. And now we can move on to round 2. So to begin this round, you want to chain 1 and turn. So we're going to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So you want to start off by doing 1 double crochet into every single stitch until you reach your first chain 1 space here. So you want to yarn over and go down into this first stitch here, as our chain 1 did not count as a stitch, and work 1 double crochet, and then do 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and keep going, keep doing 1 double crochet into every single stitch until you reach your first chain 1, or your first chain 1 space. So I have done 1 double crochet into each stitch, and I have reached my first chain 1, or first chain 1 space here. So I did 1 double crochet into this last double crochet here, and then the next stitch is my little chain 1 from last round. And we are going to go down into this first chain 1 space and work a corner. And just like last round, whenever we work a corner, we're going to do double crochet, chain 1 and then double crochet, and we're going to work that all down into this chain 1 space. So yarn over and go down into the chain 1 space here and work double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all into that space for a corner. And now we are going to do 1 double crochet into every single stitch until you reach the next chain 1 space or the next chain 1. So you want to yarn over and go down into the next double crochet here right after that chain 1 space and do 1 double crochet, and then do 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And keep going, keep working 1 double crochet into each stitch until you reach the next chain 1 or the next chain 1 space from last round here. Okay, so like that, so I have reached my next chain 1 space here. So I did 1 double crochet into this last double crochet, and then the next stitch is my chain 1, and we are going to go down into this chain 1 space and do the same thing as we just did. We're going to work a corner down into this chain 1 space. So yarn over, go into the chain 1 space and work double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, like that. And we're just going to keep repeating this all the way along for round 2. You want to do 1 double crochet into every single stitch until you reach this next chain 1 space here, and then you want to do a corner down into that space, then do 1 double crochet into each stitch along this section here until you reach the next chain 1 space. So this is the last chain 1 or the last chain 1 space of the round, and you want to go down into that space and do a corner. So double crochet, chain 1 double crochet, and then finish off by doing 1 double crochet into each stitch until the end of the round. So you want to keep working that all the way along for round 2. You're basically doing 1 double crochet into every stitch, but then when you come to a chain 1, do a corner down into the chain 1 space. And remember, for each corner you want to do double crochet, chain 1 double crochet, and you should find that you have 4 corners in total for this round. So we have 1 here, and then we're going to do our next one here, and then our next one or our last one here. So keep working that for round 2, double crochets and corners. So I have finished working that all the way along for round 2, so I have come to the end of that round, and this is what you should have. And now we can move on to round 3. So we are now on to round 3, and for the next 6 rounds of our sweater, so for rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, so 6 rounds, you just want to repeat round 2, so the round that we just did. So for each round you want to chain 1 and turn, and that chain 1 never counts as a stitch, and then you want to do 1 double crochet into each stitch until you reach your first chain 1 space here, and then do a corner down into that chain 1 space, and then do 1 double crochet into each stitch until you reach the next chain 1 space, and then do a corner down into that space, then do 1 double crochet into each stitch until you reach the next chain 1 space, then do a corner into that one, and just continue working that all the way along, so double crochets and then a corner whenever you reach a chain 1 or a chain 1 space. So you want to do that all the way along for round 3, and then the same thing for rounds 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So we're doing 6 repeats of round 2, and you should find that with each round your work gets bigger and bigger. And once you have done that, so once you have come to the end of round 8, this is what you should have. So I have gone ahead and done those rounds. So this is what you should have at the end of round 8 for this size. So you can see we have this section here, which is going to become the first half of the front of our sweater. Then we have this next section, which is going to become the first sleeve. The long section is going to become the back. Then we have our other sleeve and the other half of the front. And if you fold it like this, you can kind of see the shape already. And now we can move on to round 9. And round 9 is a really important round, as in this round we're going to be adding in the shape of our cardigan or our sweater, and we're also going to be starting our textured stitch. So to begin round 9, you want to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And we are going to start off by doing 1 single crochet into the first stitch. So go down into this first stitch here, yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So there we have 1 single crochet into that first stitch. And now we're going to do 1 double crochet into this next stitch here. And now you want to do 1 single crochet into the next stitch. So there we have 1 single crochet into the first stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then a single crochet into the next one. And now into the next stitch here, we are going to do our first increase, and we're going to be working the textured stitch at the same time as we increase. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, go into this next stitch, so this should be the 4th one along, and do 1 double crochet, and then go down into that same stitch that you just worked that double crochet in and do a single crochet. So there we have a single crochet into the first stitch, a double crochet into the next, a single crochet into the next, and then into the next one, the 4th one along, you have a double crochet and then a single crochet. And now we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Then we're going to do a single crochet into the next, and then a double crochet into the next stitch. And now into the next stitch we are going to do our next increase, working the textured stitch at the same time. So into this next stitch here, so this should be the 8th one along from where we started this round, you want to do a single crochet and then yarn over, go back down into the same stitch and do a double crochet like that. And we're going to repeat that set of stitches, so from the start to where we just finished, 1 more time. So we're going to do single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and then in the next stitch we're going to do a double crochet and a single crochet, and then we're going to do double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, and then into the next stitch we're going to do a single crochet and a double crochet. So repeat from here to here 1 more time. So like that, so I repeated that set of stitches 1 more time, so you should have finished off there with single and double into that same stitch. And now we're going to do a single crochet into the next stitch, and then do a double crochet into the next one, and then work a single crochet into the next, and then into this next stitch here, so this should be the last one before your chain 1, you want to do a double crochet and then a single crochet into that same stitch. So we are doing another increase. So you should have finished there with double crochet, then single crochet into that last stitch before your chain 1 or your chain 1 space. And now we are going to go down into this chain 1 space and work a double crochet. So yarn over, go into this chain 1 space and do 1 double crochet. So now once you have done that, so once you have worked that double crochet into your chain 1 space, we have completed the first half of the front of our sweater. So you can see we have worked our textured stitch, and we have also added in a couple of increases as well so that our sweater doesn't go in too much. So there we have completed the first half, and now we can move on to the first sleeve. So the sleeves are really easy. You simply want to skip all of these stitches, so skip all of these stitches up until the next chain 1 space here, and you should find that for this size you are skipping 29 stitches. So you can either count 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way up to 29 and skip all of those, but I'm just going to go to my next chain 1 space here, and we are going to do a single crochet into this chain 1 space. So we have done a double crochet into this first one, and now we're going to insert our hook into the next chain 1 space, and then bring all of your work together and work 1 single crochet into this one. And there we have completed our first sleeve. So this is what your sleeve should look like. And now we can move on to the back of our sweater. So we have done a single crochet into this chain 1 space here, and now we're going to do 1 double crochet into the first stitch of the back, so the first stitch right after that chain 1 space, and now we're going to do 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then a double crochet into the next, and now we're going to do an increase into the next stitch. So we're going to do single crochet and double crochet both into this next stitch here. So single and double both into this stitch like that. And now we're going to do a single crochet into the next stitch, then a double into the next, and then a single crochet into the next. And then into this next stitch here, we're going to do another increase. We're going to do double crochet and then single crochet into the same stitch like that. So do double crochet, single crochet into that next stitch there. And we are going to repeat from our first double crochet, so the first stitch after the chain 1 space, up until where we just finished, 4 more times, and you should find that that takes you to the end of the back. So we're going to do double crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next, double crochet into the next, and then single crochet, double crochet both into the next stitch, and then single crochet into the next, double crochet into the next, single crochet into the next, and then double crochet, single crochet into the next stitch 4 more times. So we're doing our textured stitch all the way along, and we are doing an increase every 4th stitch. So you want to repeat from here, so from our first double crochet, so to where we just finished off 4 more times. And all of the instructions are written really clearly on the written pattern, and there is a link to the written pattern in the description box below this video. So you want to do double, single, double, single, double, single, double, single, double, single 4 more times. Finish doing those repeats, so you should find that you have worked double crochet, single crochet both into this last stitch here before your next chain 1 or chain 1 space. And we are now going to go down into this chain 1 space and do 1 double crochet. So go down into the chain 1 space and work a double crochet. And now we're going to make our next sleeve, and we're going to do this in the same way as we did the other one. We're going to skip 29 stitches. So skip all of these stitches up until your next chain 1 space here. So this should be your last chain 1 space of the round, and we're going to do a single crochet into this space. So do 1 double crochet into this chain 1 space here, skip all of these stitches up until the next chain 1 space, go into this space and work a single crochet. And there we have created our next sleeve, and you should have found that you skipped 29 stitches for that one too. And now we're going to move on to the last part of this round, and this is the other half of the front of our sweater. We are going to start off by doing an increase into this first stitch here. So we are going to yarn over, go down into this first stitch, so this is the double crochet right after that chain 1 space, and do 1 double crochet, and then we're going to do a single crochet down into that same stitch to create an increase. And now we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet into the next one, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And now we're going to do another increase into the next stitch. So do a single crochet into the next stitch, and then a double crochet down into that same one for your increase, and then do a single crochet into the next, a double crochet into the next stitch, and then a single crochet into the next. So there we have done double crochet, single crochet, both into the first stitch, then double crochet into the next, single crochet into the next, double crochet into the next, and then we have done another increase into the next one with single crochet, double crochet, and then we have done single, double, single. And we're going to repeat that set of stitches one more time. So we're going to do double crochet, single crochet, double, single, double, single crochet, double crochet, single, double, single. So do that one more time. So there I have finished that repeat, and now we are going to finish off by doing an increase here. So we're going to do double crochet and then single crochet into this next stitch. So double and single into that next one there for our last increase of this round, and then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next, and 1 double crochet into the next. And there we have finally finished round 9. So that was a pretty complicated round as we were doing multiple things at the same time. We were separating our sweater for the shape, so now we have a front, a back and 2 sleeves. We were working the textured stitch all the way around, and we were increasing every 4th stitch to make sure that our sweater had a nice shape. So we did lots of things at the same time, but that was definitely the most complicated round of the sweater, and it does make it a bit easier if you have the written pattern, and like I said, there is a link to that in the description box below. So there we have finished round 9, and now we can move on to round 10. So round 10 is really simple. You just want to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So this round is really easy. We're going to start off by doing 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Then we're going to do 1 single crochet into the next one, and then 1 double crochet into the next. And we're just going to keep working that all the way along. So we're going to do a single crochet into one stitch, then a double crochet into the next, then a single into the next, and then a double in the next, all the way along. And you should find that in this round, whenever you work a single crochet, that you are working it into a double crochet from last round, and that whenever you work a double crochet, that you are working it into a single crochet from last round, and that is what is going to give us our textured stitch. So keep doing single crochet, double crochet again and again all the way along for this round. So I have finished working that all the way along for that round, so single crochet, double crochet all the way along, and this is what you should have. So you should have our textured stitch starting here. And now for the rest of the length of your sweater, you just want to keep repeating that round again and again and again. So to begin each round, you want to chain one and turn, and that never counts as a stitch. And then you want to do one single crochet into the first stitch, and then one double crochet into the next stitch, and then keep repeating single crochet, single double, all the way along, and you should find that you finish off by working one double crochet into the last stitch at the end. So you want to keep repeating that again and again and again, so keep repeating that round until you have the length sweater that you like. So you can see with this sweater here, all of these rounds are just repeats of that textured round that we just did. So all of these rounds are just repeats. So for this sweater here, I did 14 repeats, and this is size 1 to 2 years. So for size 3 to 4 years, so the size that we are doing, I would probably do 18, 19 or 20 repeats, depending on how long you want your sweater to be. So go ahead and repeat that round, and you can go back in the tutorial and rewatch that round as many times as you need to, or if you have the written pattern, it's all written down nice and clearly on there. So keep repeating that round. I have finished working some of those rounds, and now for the sake of this tutorial, I haven't made my sweater too long, so I have just done a couple of repeats of that round. But when you are making your sweater, you can make yours as long as you like, so you can do 15, 20, 30 repeats. It's completely up to you, but for mine I have just done 6 or 7 repeats here, as I want to move on and show you the rest of the sweater. And now when you finish your last repeat, you want to make sure that you have finished off on the left side of your sweater here. So if you have finished off on this side, so lay your work flat with the front facing you, and if you find that you have finished off on this side, just work one extra round, and that will get you to the left side here. So you want to finish off on your last repeat on the left side. And now we can move on to our border. And for our border, we're going to move down to using a 4mm crochet hook. So we used a 5mm hook for our sweater, and for the border, we are going to use a 4mm hook. So you want to go into that last stitch there where you just finished off. So you should have finished off on the left side. And remember, we're using our 4mm hook, and you want to chain one. So we have done double crochet to finish here this last round, and now you want to chain one, and we are going to work single crochets evenly up the side of the stitches here along this textured section, so along the textured stitch, up until we reach this round here, up until we reach our plain double crochet section here. So we're going to do single crochets evenly into the side of these stitches until you reach your first round of plain double crochet here. So you want to go into the side of this first stitch here and work one single crochet, and then go into the side of the next and do one single crochet, and just keep doing this evenly. So do single crochets evenly into the side of the stitches along this textured stitch until you reach your first round of plain double crochet. So I have finished working single crochets evenly into the side of those stitches, and I have reached my first round of plain double crochet here. So where we did just 1 double crochet into each stitch along this section. So it's our last round before our first round of textured stitch. And as I didn't do very many repeats down here, I didn't have to work single crochets at this section for very long. But with this sweater, you can see I would have had to have worked single crochets evenly into the stitches for quite a while before I reached my first round of plain double crochet there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 single crochet into this next stitch here, and you should find that this is into the side of that first round of plain double crochet, and we're going to take a stitch marker and we're going to place it into that stitch. So take your stitch marker and place it into the single crochet that you just worked. So like that, so you should find that that single crochet is into the side of this first round of plain double crochet, and you want to place a stitch marker into that stitch. And now we're going to chain 2, so chain 1 and 2, and then skip the next stitch, or skip this next little section here. And now we're going to do a single crochet into the side of the next stitch, and then we're going to chain 2 and then skip the next stitch, or skip this next little section here, and then do that again, single crochet into the next stitch, chain 2, and then skip the next stitch or this next section or the side of this next section here, then do a single crochet into the next one, chain 2, and then skip this next little section here. And we're just going to continue working that all the way around, so all the way around the neckline of our sweater until you reach the bottom of this section of plain double crochet on the opposite side. So we're going to come up here all the way around the neckline and then all the way back down until you reach this section here. So until you reach the end of the plain double crochet on the opposite side. So we're going to keep doing single crochet, chain 2, skip the next stitch all the way around until you reach the textured section on the opposite side. So just keep repeating that all the way around. And when you get to the corners, just continue to work this around the corner. So I have done single crochet, chain 2. So now I'm going to skip this next little bit and work a single crochet into the next stitch. So now this is on the top here, and just continue to work this around. And when you get to the top section here, it's much easier as you actually have proper stitches. So you can do a single crochet, chain 2, skip the next stitch, and then single crochet, chain 2, skip the next stitch, and keep repeating this all the way around. So I have finished working that all the way around. So I have done single crochet, chain 2, skip the next stitch all the way around the top and the neckline of this sweater, and I have reached my textured stitch on the opposite side. So I have finished off by working a last single crochet into this last round of plain double crochet here on the right hand side of our sweater. So you can see we have just 1 double crochet into each stitch along this section here, and I have finished off by working a single crochet into the side of that round, and we're going to place another stitch marker into this stitch, so into this single crochet on this side like that, and that has marked the end of our collar. So when you have your work like this, you should find that your stitch markers are in the same place roughly on the opposite sides. So it doesn't matter if they're not exactly opposite each other, so if one's a little bit higher than the other one, but you can see mine are pretty much exactly opposite each other. And now to finish off round 1 of the border, we're just going to work single crochets evenly down the side of these stitches until you reach the end. So just the same thing as we did at the start, where we did 1 single crochet into the side of each stitch up this side here. We're going to do the same thing back down this side. So you want to go there where we just finished off, and then do single crochets evenly down the side of these stitches until you reach the bottom. Single crochets evenly down that last section there, and there we have finished round 1 of our border. So now you can fasten off. So you want to pull your yarn out and your hook and cut your yarn, leaving a nice long tail to weave in later, and then we can move on to round 2. So we are now on to round 2 of our border, and we are going to start off by attaching our yarn into this stitch here. So this is the stitch that has the stitch marker in it on the right hand side. So you want to go to the right hand side of your sweater and to the stitch that has the stitch marker in it, and you want to go onto the wrong side of your work. So turn your work over like this so that you have the inside of your sweater facing you, and remove that stitch marker, and then place your hook into that stitch, and we are going to take our new yarn, place it over the end of our hook and pull it through, and there we have attached our yarn into that stitch. And now you want to chain 2. So we're going to chain 1 and 2 like that, and we're going to move on to our next single crochet here. So we're going to skip this chain 2 from last round and move on to the next single crochet here, and we're going to do our first cluster into this stitch. And now whenever we work a cluster, we are going to do 3 double crochets together all into the stitch. So you want to yarn over and go down into this first single crochet here. So skip this chain 2 and go into the single crochet, yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops, just as you would with a normal double crochet. But usually we would yarn over and pull through these 2 loops to complete the stitch, but we are not going to do that. We're going to leave that double crochet incomplete and move on to the next one. So you want to yarn over and go down into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So there we have worked a second incomplete double crochet, but you do not want to complete this one either, and we're going to move on to our third and final one. So yarn over, go down into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So there we have 3 incomplete double crochets, and you should have 4 loops on your hook, and you want to yarn over and pull through all 4. So there we have completed 3 double crochets together, and we have done our first cluster into that single crochet. And now you want to chain 3, so chain 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do a single crochet into this next single crochet here. So skip the next chain 2 and move on to the next single crochet, and do 1 single crochet into that stitch, and now you want to chain 3 again, and now into the next single crochet here we are going to do another cluster. So we're going to do 3 double crochets together all into this stitch. So yarn over, go into the next single crochet and do 3 double crochets together, like that. And now you want to chain 3 and then do a single crochet into the next single crochet, and then chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3. So like that. So there we have done single crochet and chain 3, and now we're going to do another cluster into this next single crochet here. So do 3 double crochets together all into this next one. like that. And we're going to keep repeating this all the way around for round 2 of the border. So we're going to keep working chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, cluster, chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, cluster, all the way around until you reach your next stitch marker here. So you want to keep doing chain 3 and then a single crochet into the next single crochet, and then chain 3 and then a cluster or 3 double crochets together all into the next single crochet, all the way around until you reach your next stitch marker here. So you want to chain 3, do a single crochet into this next single crochet here, then chain 3 and then do a cluster or 3 double crochets together all into this next single crochet, like that. Now we can repeat that again. So we're going to chain 1, 2, 3, work a single crochet into the next single crochet here, chain 3 and then work a cluster into the next single crochet, and this is going to create our really pretty collar. So I'll show you now. So I've done my cluster there, and what's going to happen is this is going to be down like this, and then this section is going to fold over, and this will stay in place once we block it. So this is going to fold over and create this really pretty collar edging like that. So keep repeating this all the way around for round 2. I have finished working that all the way around, and I have reached my last stitch before my stitch marker here. So I have single crochet, and then this is the last single crochet before my one with the stitch marker in it. And you want to just finish off on whatever stitch you are finishing off on. So it doesn't matter if it's a single crochet or a cluster, depending on how many stitches you worked around in round 1, you may end up finishing off on a single crochet into this second to last stitch, or a cluster, but it doesn't matter, just finish off on whatever one is the next stitch you need to work. So for me it was a single crochet, but you may have worked a cluster into this one. And what we're going to do is we're going to finish off by chaining 2, so chain 1 and 2 after that single crochet or cluster, and then we're going to work a slip stitch into this stitch with the stitch marker in it. So remove your stitch marker and then work a slip stitch into this stitch. So go into the stitch and yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. And now you can pull your yarn out and your hook and fasten off, leaving a nice long tail to weave in later. And we have finished round 2 of the border. So there we have finished our collar and our border. So this is what it should look like. So on that outside of your work, so on the right side of your sweater, you should have these kind of pom-poms facing the outside like this. And then when we fold our collar over and we fold this kind of frill over around the top, this is what it should look like. So you should have the right side of your clusters facing out. So there we have finished our border, and we have finished the majority of our sweater. And now if you want to keep your sweater short sleeved, then you now just want to move on to blocking your sweater. So you want to move on to blocking it and adding a button and weaving all of your ends in. But if you want to add long sleeves, then I will show you how to do that now. So for our long sleeves, we're going to go back to using our larger crochet hook. So we're going to go back to using the 5mm, and you can start off on either sleeve. They're both worked in the exact same way. So I'll show you how to do one, and then you can go ahead and work the other one in the same way. So I'm going to start off on this left one here, and the important thing is that the wrong side of this last round of the sleeve here is facing you. So here we have the wrong side of these stitches, or the back of these stitches, and you need to make sure that this wrong side is facing you. So we're going to turn our work over to the back, and I have the wrong side of this last round facing me, and you want to attach your yarn into any of these stitches along the back here. So I'm going to go into this very last stitch down the bottom, but you can go into any of these stitches along the back, as I'm going to go into this one here and attach your yarn into this stitch. And remember, we're going back to using our larger crochet hook. And we're going to do 1 double crochet down into this stitch, and then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and you want to keep doing this all the way around. So 1 double crochet into every single stitch until you reach the underarm section here. So keep doing double crochets, 1 into each stitch until you reach the underarm section. So I have finished working those double crochets all the way around. So I did 1 double crochet into this last stitch here, which has not already been worked into. So you can see this next stitch here already has a stitch into it for the front of our sweater. So I have done 1 double crochet into this last empty stitch, and we have reached our underarm section, and we are going to work 3 double crochets into this underarm section here. So you can see here I have my first double crochet kind of at the back of the sleeve, so I will go into this one at the end, and this little section here is our underarm section, so it's all the side of the stitches, and we are going to work 3 double crochets evenly into this section. So I normally do 1 here into the side of this stitch, 1 down the bottom, and then 1 into the side of this one. So I'm going to do 1 double crochet into the side of this first stitch here, and then I'm going to do 1 down into this bottom section, and then 1 into the side of this next stitch. And there we have done 3 double crochets evenly into that underarm section. And now I'm going to do 1 double crochet into this next stitch after my underarm section, and you want to just keep doing double crochets, 1 into each stitch until you reach where you started. And as I started right down here at the bottom, I have already reached where I started there. So now we can finish off by working a slip stitch into the first double crochet that we worked. So the first double crochet of the round. So there we have come to the end of round 1 of our sleeve, and at the end of this round you should find that you have 3 more double crochets than you skipped for the sleeves in our shaping round. So where we did our textured stitch and then we skipped some stitches for our sleeve, you should have 3 more double crochets than you skipped. And if you have the written pattern, then I have written down really clearly on there how many stitches you should have at the end of round 1 of the sleeve for each of the different sizes. So now we can move on to round 2, and the rest of the rounds of our sleeve are really simple. We're just going to chain 1 and turn, and then do 1 double crochet into every single stitch around. So you want to chain 1 and turn, and this never counts as a stitch, and then do 1 double crochet into this first stitch here, and then do 1 into the next, and just keep repeating that all the way around. 1 double crochet into each stitch, and then finish off by working a slip stitch into the first double crochet that you worked. So there we will have finished round 2 of the sleeve, and you want to keep repeating that round until you have the length that you like. And then once you have done that, you want to fasten off, so pull your yarn out and your hook and cut your yarn, leaving a nice long tail to weave in later. And then you can move on and make the other sleeve in the exact same way. So this other sleeve on the opposite side is made in the exact same way. So go ahead and make those sleeves. So now once you have finished making both of your sleeves, you want to go ahead and weave your ends nice and securely into the inside side of your sweater. And then you want to add a button to the top here. And what I actually did was I added a button at the very end of my collar here. And then I just used my loops from my collar, so from round 2 of the collar or the border, as my buttonholes. So I used one of these loops as a buttonhole, and that put my button perfectly in place there. And then the final thing that you want to do is block your sweater. And now you don't have to do this, it's completely optional, but I found that it made a really big difference to the way that my sweater looked when it was finished. So what I did was I took a foam play mat, and then I just took my sweater and I laid it on the mat, and then I took some pins and pinned my work in place. And the place that you really want to concentrate on is around the collar here. So make sure that you pin. So I'd put a pin here and a pin here and a pin here. And in a second, I will put a photo in the video showing you how the top of my sweater looked when it was being blocked. So you can see how I pinned it all in place, and then I sprayed it lightly with water and left it to dry. And then once it was completely dry, I took the pins out, and then it kept its shape. So the collar didn't keep turning up like this, it just stays down and it stays perfectly in place. So like I said, this is completely optional. You don't have to block your sweater. And if you do, please make sure that the yarn you have used, it's safe to block that yarn. And there are lots of different methods you can use. So you might just need to do a little bit of research to find out which way is best to block the yarn that you have used. But that is the way that I did it. I just pinned it in place, sprayed it lightly with water, left it to dry, and then took the pins out, and it stayed in place. And there we have finished our sweater. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it easy to follow. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos. And when you subscribe, make sure you click that little bell button next to the subscribe button so that you receive notifications when I post a new tutorial. And in the description box below this video, I will leave a link to where you can find the written pattern for this sweater. So all of the different sizes are included on the written pattern. And in the description box below, I will also leave links to my Instagram and Twitter accounts. So I always like to post updates and pictures on there, especially Instagram. And I would love to see photos of your crochet work on there as well. And thank you again for watching. Bye.